From Florida's Space Coast, this is Your Career.
Welcome to Your Career. I'm Debbie Featherston, your host, and with me is Ted Hartselle, professor at Eastern Florida State College. You have a very extensive career that I think really will shed some insight and give a different perspective to viewers. So let's start with that first. So tell me a little bit about how did you get started in your career and maybe a few highlights.
Well, I can start out the easy way. In the 9th grade, I was at Kennedy Middle School in the basketball court in the back, and I saw a Saturn V launch.
Oh, wow.
And I said, stopped right there and said, wow. And I said to myself, I'm going to do that. And someone took the ball away, and I had broke the moment. But I watched it go all the way up. It was a
Wow.
stellar moment for me. And I knew that's what I was going to do. I'd been around rockets a little bit, lived in Huntsville, Miami, during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Wow.
So I was interested in rockets. And there was the biggest one around. So I said, I'm going to do that. 14 years later, I had accomplished a chemical engineering degree, worked my way through school as a waiter, and graduated from a junior college in Jacksonville, then the University of Florida.
Wow.
And three years too soon. They weren't launching space shuttles yet. So I obtained a position at Milliken and Company in South Carolina. Worked there for the whole 3 years, and when they started launching here, they were laying people off in South Carolinas due to basically a change in tariff laws.
Okay.
But they lost 500,000 jobs there due to tariffs changes. So I came down home, and this is where my parents are, the family, so I had a good start. And started knocking on doors, and I managed to run into somebody who saw my resume, said, come out on Saturday, would you? So I came out on Saturday, and the security guard took me out to the launch pad for my interview.
Oh my,
And
that would never happen today.
No.
What an experience.
And as we were going by the VAB, STS-1 was rolling to the launch pad that morning for the first time
Wow.
to start integrated shuttle operations. I was hired on the spot. I brought the right skills at the right time. That's an important part of getting a job these days. I stayed there throughout the Martin Marietta company that hired me. Then it became Lockheed, then it became Lockheed Martin, and then United Space Alliance. So I was out there all the way through to the day Atlantis landed, and the very next day they laid off the entire launch team, so of the contractors. So 1,800 people were out on the street. We knew it was coming. For 6 years we knew it was coming. But we had a job to do and needed to be finished.
Right. Boy, I tell you, that's a fabulous career. And I'm just curious, how did you go from working at Kennedy Space Center to moving into academia?
I was given the opportunity 4 years ago to start teaching a class in materials. It's my minor. And the Aerospace Technology program. I've done that for the last 4 years. And 6 weeks ago, I was hired full-time. So I'm teaching that class, metals, composites, introduction to aerospace, another materials class, this one in Palm Bay. It's a bit of a drive, and integrated science. So I've had a chance to affect a lot of students. We're giving them the skills they need to become part of the aerospace and aeronautic workforce of this area. They can stay right here. They don't have to go somewhere else, like so many engineers did after the shuttle program left, technicians. We're going to make sure there's jobs here. If you go down to Melbourne Airport, you'll see that there's a new 500,000 square foot building going up, in addition to the one that was just built. Northrop Grumman is expanding. They got a new contract for the B-21 Raider. You go out to the Space Center. One of my students asked me today what they're building out there on Exploration Road. Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin, is building a new factory to build rockets. This is the first time we build the rockets here in Brevard County. It's a change.
Yeah.
A welcome change. Another factory going up there is for OneWeb, building internet services and very small satellites. They're going to produce 8 satellites a week. So there's going to be a lot of production going on. The new seating facility in Tycho Airport, the Aerospace, Aerotech facility that Lockheed bought, and they're going to be preparing satellites there. SpaceX is launching. Blue Origin just received complexes, I think it's 36 and 11, to do their launches from. So there's a lot happening here, and they need people to do it.
What are some of the skills that this new program, I think you call it industrial management, an AS degree in industrial management?
Yes.
And specifically, what are some of the skills that's going to, how is it preparing somebody for some of these jobs that will be needed?
Well, part of it is just measuring things. You get the tools, the skills, reading blueprints, understanding how things go together, and then taking it from a piece of paper or in the computer and creating it. Now, there's a lot of different techniques for doing it. You can be on a lathe and do it by hand. That's the old way.
Okay.
Now there's CNC machines. Many of the manufacturers locally really need CNC operators, CNC programmers, whether it's milling or drilling or lathes or the whole Mozak machine. And while I was down, I managed to find a program where I could learn how to CNC program. So it's not just programming space shuttles, it's programming CNC machines too. We'll be teaching CNC and manufacturing. I'll be teaching introduction to manufacturing. In the meantime, I'm teaching an aerospace technology program and the engineering technology program. Those are already, people are already going through that. One of the things that we've been successful in our aerospace technology program is people have been hired as interns at the Kennedy Space Center. 15 of the students from that program are currently working on the Orion capsules.
Oh,
they started out as interns. They've been hired full-time, most of them. There's others who are still interning. They haven't finished their internships yet. And I hear good things.
That's good. That's good. And we know that internships often turn into full-time employment. It's a great way to get that real-world experience, get exposure to employers, and if it's a good fit, then you get that offer.
That's a hard hurdle to jump. Get in front of the employer and show what you can do. And giving these students an opportunity to do that internship is a great advantage for them.
Unlike back in 1980 when you got hired, you had the right skill set, you were in the right place at the right time with the right skill set, and boom, you're hired, and 2 hours later, you're working.
Well, there's so many different fields. When you say aerospace, what does that mean?
Right.
It could be someone in contracts. It could be someone doing logistics, shipping things from here to France or Japan. You have to have all those import-export people, quality control, inspectors, calibrations. One of my technicians was a calibration technician out there, one of the people in training now, but he never had a degree. And that competitive extra makes all the difference.
Yes, it does.
Having certificates makes a difference. It brings you one step above, gives you a competitive advantage you can't get any other way. 20 years experience may not be enough. Show me what you can do. Here's my certificate.
It shows that determination, that tenacity. It shows, that you have acquired a certain body of knowledge that's needed.
And I'm willing to go one step further than everybody else. So many people have some of the skills. We're rounding them out and giving them all the tools they need to do the job. When you're missing that skill and haven't been trained in it, it sometimes catches you at the wrong time. If you had that skill, you would just leaped right over it and moved on. So you got to be able to work with people. It's not just things.
Can you give me some examples, thinking back over your extensive career in aerospace? I imagine you've probably saw some of those kinds of gaps where leaders or others that, just didn't have a certain skill set. They didn't know how to work well with others. Maybe they didn't pay attention to the numbers or didn't understand how to really interpret those numbers. Any particular, protecting the guilty?
Well, there's things that happen when you're under stressful conditions. The last launch, I was monitoring a screen and saw indication toggling. It's digital, so it's moving from one number to another. And I brought it to the attention of the other people on the console, and we realized we have a measurement that just had a sort of noise on it, a buzz. We started increasing the data rate, and we got in there and we found out it would violate launch commit criteria every maybe 20 times a second out of 100 samples we could take. So 20% chance of launch. Let's fix it or take it out of the equation, which is what the solution was. But we had to discuss it with the entire launch team. I was on the console as lead engineer for the liquid oxygen, the external tank, the big brown
Right,
tank for the
right.
shuttle. I was lead engineer for 58 launches.
Wow.
So I was in the middle of things. This is
Had to
what
make
engineers call
decisive
fun.
decisions, know how to interpret and analyze, but also know how to say what you need to say, right, in a way that everybody could hear you.
I'd been out there 4 months, and I was the engineer going out into the west perimeter inspection after STS-1 launch. So I was the first person on the launch pad after the launch.
Wow.
I had a safety and an environmental health person with me, and we walked everywhere around, see what was fallen, broken. So, and there was a lot that time. We didn't have a good sound suppression system at the time. So we found out what was broken. We got to climb the tower 5 times that day.
Wow.
It was quite a haul.
I bet,
And
yes.
did it again for STS-2, was much cleaner launch. And then STS-3, I was in the fire room. 4, I was in the fire room. 6, I was in the fire room. That was Challenger's first launch. And then STS-11, I was the first lead engineer. And then the next day, I turned in my badge, or that day, 2 hours later, I turned in my badge, picked up a new one, and went on to launch STS-13 as lead
Many
engineer.
people watching this who've worked out there understand what you just said.
Changing contracts, it just rolls over all the time. And
That's right.
in any DoD systems, you'll find that it'll happen as well.
Right.
The people who are working at the McDonnell Douglas plant in Titusville found out the hard way when their contract went to Raytheon in Arizona, and all of a sudden the jobs are gone.
Yeah.
Now we have night manufacturing there, and they use the CNC programmers and skills, and they get it from here.
Yeah,
You can't
absolutely.
find them everywhere.
Right.
Let's give you for instance, there's a need for aerospace and aeronautical people. There are going to be 22,000 new aircraft in the air in the next 20 years. That's more than double what's out there now.
Those are the current projections?
That's current projections. So those planes not only have to be built, but they have to be maintained and designed.
Right.
So there's a lot of work out there. I think it's best if we have it here than somewhere else. For instance, they're building the Airbus new planes in Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
We were competing head to head. They were going to build new tanker aircraft there. DoD drives the train sometimes as to
Absolutely.
where things are going to happen.
So really, we're looking at, with these programs, I mean, there's a lot of technical skill as well as the leadership skill that's being trained, right, or being obtained.
You need to understand the programs as a whole. What's going on? What from the start of a contract to the final closure of a program, and every step of the way in between. How do you improve the process? How do you make your piece of it work better? And when something doesn't work right, when you're the first person to come in to the firing room after Challenger, and you walk up to the console and look and find that they've misinterpreted something, how do you tell them that there's people in harm's way and you need to get them out of there?
Yeah.
And they thought it was a 750 nitrogen leak, and it was actually a blown fuse. But it was misinterpreted for 2 hours.
Yeah.
People, you get thrown by an accident. Fixing the accident, coming out of it 12 hours later, it was a long day.
Yeah.
Seeing that first off, and they were in the middle of it. My job was to get in there and relieve them, get them off the console, and that I was focused on it.
Yeah.
So, finding those problems and dealing with people issues after an accident, they're immense. And then leading the team into return to flight. And again on STS-49 for the Endeavour launch, new rocket, new problems, get through it. And first time we did a super lightweight tank going to the space station, new tanking test on a launch pad, never been done before. So it was a lot of things, but then you move on from that.
Yeah.
After we settle it, land us down, put it in this hangar, and it's done, our job was done. What's next?
Yeah, and I think this
And
is
you
a
see
great...
everything.
Absolutely, because what I'm thinking here, not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you for a moment, Ted,
Sure.
is that the parallel I see from the journey that you've taken and you're giving us a highlight of, the process, right, when you're working there at the Cape, or Kennedy Space Center specifically, but you know, it's going to be the same kind of thing. You know, these people that you're, young people that you're, or people, because they're at all ages, I'm sure,
Yes.
that are coming through your program, and so they're going to have the same kind of process, right? Step 1 to step 3, but we got to research and design programs. We got to be able to have a team that can maintain them to ensure that they're meeting certain quality inspections, analysis.
We're starting from scratch again. The shuttle
Yes.
program is gone. It's been gone for 5 years.
Absolutely.
Now you've got new rockets.
Yeah.
And the job SpaceX has been doing has been magnificent. They need to up their game. They've been having problems. They need to know how. They need to find out what's going on
Right.
and do it right.
Right.
One of my students is out there working for them. Now I can't tell them what all to do,
Certainly.
but I'd like to hear feedback from what's
Yeah.
going on. I'd like to hear from people what problems they have.
Right.
The show and tell is very interesting. I had to leave all my show and tell at Space Center because it belonged to NASA.
Sure.
So I basically walked out of there with a box with a few papers in it, and that was it in my plant.
Yeah, but I
So-
can appreciate what you just said, because,
It's a new
you know,
program.
being in academia now, you need the feedback from the employer.
Yes.
What do they need? How well prepared are these students that are coming out of your program? Is there an additional gap? Are there additional areas where they need to have more knowledge and increase, you know, more hands-on experience, whatever it is? Some kind of feedback to make certain that, you know, the people that are going through your program are really job ready, that
I
they
am
can hit the
desperate.
ground running.
I am desperate to give them the people they need.
Right.
And since I'm not going to be there pushing the button for them, I'm going to train the person who is. That was my objective when I decided I was going to teach at the end of the program, is to teach the next generation.
But what a wealth of knowledge and experience, great wisdom that you have that you can pass on to these students. I think that that's probably one of the greatest gifts you could give anybody, is to be able to think under pressure.
Being able to know that you're doing the right thing, that is such a relief when you're in a stressful situation. I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
I've got a procedure written out. I know exactly how to fix this problem. When you call a hold at T-minus 4 minutes, I got a plan.
Right.
It's not something that you say, I guess we can do this. I hope this works. No, you've got to know. When the rocket suddenly explodes on the launch pad, is it superheated helium that's causing overheat in liquid oxygen tank? Is it a relief valve that failed? Is it a rupture in the tank itself? Those are all core issues that are being explored right now for SpaceX. But then you go to the Antares program, where they dropped the rocket right on the launch pad and it blew up.
Yeah.
So many shuttle engineers left here to work and build that launch pad. The shuttle engineers went in all directions.
Yeah, they did.
There are people in Mississippi, there's people in Seattle, Charleston. I try to keep track, and it's just too hard. There's just too many people in all different
They
directions.
really did go with the wind, if you will.
And then there's a few people who stuck around here and said, I'm going to stay here. A lot of people had kids here that were going through high school. They kept their houses, and they just traveled back and forth. I got friends who work in Savannah and Brunswick, Georgia. I mean, that's their commute.
Right.
To come home
Right.
for the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do what you have to.
You do.
And that's
You do.
why I like my students are so dedicated that they will come to school at 6 o'clock at night, stay to 8:40 at night, 9 o'clock. Sometimes I
Yep.
talk too much. And every week, over and over again. And others are there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And if they're going to be there, I'm going to be there to teach them.
That's right. That's right. What's the one thing that is there any one thing or a couple things that really stand out about this group of students? Or do you see older students? Are you seeing, I mean, you mentioned a couple things about the dedication and the commitment, right? That they're there and they're really interested, and your classes go long sometimes as a result of the discussion.
I cannot believe how good they are. They are dedicated, they are skilled, they work hard, they understand what they're talking about most of the time. And I'm trying to get them over that. That's why I'm
Sure.
trying to fill their gaps. And learning's not easy, or else everybody would be doing it, right? Everybody going to college? No. There's some people who say, I got to have it.
What
and they're willing
percentage
to
would
put
you
it in there.
say, what percentage of the students would you say are working full-time while taking a class? Do you have?
I don't have a percentage, but I
Ballpark? Yeah.
just off the top of my head, I'd say 2/3.
Oh, wow. So there's added pressure and
Yeah.
demand.
Some of them are vets who are on benefit, and they can settle back a little bit and
Yeah.
work on school.
That's right.
But there's a lot of people who come in. I had one student who was coming from Port St. Lucie and driving up here an hour and a half to take the class, and then
Yeah.
driving home for a third shift
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
So there's people who are really pouring it on.
they really
And
are,
he's
aren't they?
graduating in December too. So
Wow, that's impressive. What are some of the benefits if we've got viewers who are really interested in this program? Kind of give us a little bit of a summary of the couple different programs that you've talked about. And
well,
some of the
we have the
benefits.
Aerospace Technology Program. We're training technicians in how to operate, whether it's riveting, whether it's making composite components, quality control, all the tools that they'll be at their availability, paperwork, what they need to know. I'm pretty rigorous in my getting an understanding of metals and composites. So I teach them a little bit of everything. I don't have all the equipment I need to show them all the neat stuff I'd like to. So
Sure.
yeah, I
Future, maybe down the
yeah.
road.
I just walked through the industrial machining area, and Lou showed me, I can't remember his last name, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
But Lou showed me a lot of equipment they have there, and I'll be teaching Introduction to Machining in that area, and that should be interesting.
That will be.
It's not just teaching experience for me, it's learning. I know these things, but
Yeah.
I'm not a hands-on person. I've been an
Yeah.
engineer.
That's right.
At Space Center, my job was hands-off. I write the procedures, and I follow the technicians and fix the procedure and tell them when there's a problem,
Yeah.
and they turn the valves.
Yeah, yeah. But you have an appreciation of what they do, and that's why
Yes.
you're doing this, because you want to make certain that you're helping to produce the best of the best, right? So that we've got really good talent here that we can continue to choose from, employers can choose from.
I'm doing as good a job at this as I did with Space Shuttle.
Absolutely.
I put everything I got into it. All my skills, all my talent, all my training, it's right there on the table, and I'm pushing it towards them and letting them take all they can.
Yeah,
And
that's great.
It's like a fire hose for them.
I can appreciate that, you know, because you have nearly 35, 40 years of experience, and there's a real passion behind the work that you've done, and now there's that transference that you want to continue to grow the next generation, you know, of employees, no matter what industry they're pursuing.
Now, we only have 2 full-time instructors and professors on this program.
Okay.
We have adjuncts. And we
Okay,
reach out
okay.
to the programs that are out there and pick the best of the best and bring them in here and help us teach. They'll pick a
Excellent.
class that they're particularly good at, and they'll teach it. So we're not restricted just to the skills that I have and another engineer has who's been here 30 more years than I have
Yeah.
on the space program. We can reach out and people who are already there doing it still and bring their knowledge into the program.
You know, this new program, the Industrial Management AS degree, I saw that there were 60 credits that were required for it. And I was just curious, what kind of entry requirements are there for people that are interested in pursuing that degree?
The one thing that helps the most to have when you come in is your math. A lot of people are deathly afraid of math. I can teach that, but I need to teach other things as well, so I'll mold it in.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit of physics, I'll throw a little bit of math in there. I'm not ready to teach them orbital mechanics, but I can teach them the inclinations and orbits and things like that. They can understand that very easily without having to go into the nitty-gritty of math. So I'll get them past that point. If they ever decide to be aerospace engineers, which some of them have decided they're going
Certainly.
to UCF,
Yeah. So
They
they're going to
continue
take it up
onward.
the next step.
they got the AS and an AA and they moved on.
Okay.
So some of my students don't make it out into the intern programs. They go on to a
I
full
see.
4-year degree program.
That's really encouraging.
In the meantime, they've got an opportunity for a job. One of the great things of working out there is I had benefits. I could say, I want to take this class, and my employer would pay for it. And it was really good, as I told them I wanted to go to FIT, a private school.
Yes.
Embry-Riddle, a private school. University of Miami, a private school. Let me just put it this way. I used my benefits. And with those new skills, I was able to learn how to be a professor.
And we may have employees that are in a very same situation that they're working for, right?
Yes.
Employers, and have monies available for tuition.
I thoroughly encourage people who have the opportunity to use their education to use it, that benefit. If you leave it on the table, missed opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. What are some words of wisdom that you would give any student that is applying for one of these programs, one of these two programs that we've been talking about?
Try some classes. If you haven't ever done it before, it's been 20 years, try a class. Something you're interested in, even if it's just art.
Okay.
I like to sketch. It's fun. It's relieving, and some people say I'm good, but I don't think so. It's self-deprecating. But when you have a skill, you improve on it. You practice. And just pick something that you can start developing a skill. And now that you've remembered how to develop a new skill, try it at school. They'll accelerate that learning process.
Yeah.
In 6 months, you'll be wanting to take a class for real.
So it's going to build their confidence then, from what I hear you say.
And a need.
They maybe also, depending on the course that they chose, may teach them or give them the opportunity to learn how to gain some, increase that practice with studying. Because I think sometimes study skills are there.
Study skills can be learned. The school has programs to help people learn how, whether it's math, they have a learning center. Math, reading, computers. They'll help you get up to the minimum.
Well, Ted, that's going to have to be the last word. Thank you so much. It's been very helpful and very informative. Well, on behalf of my guest and everyone here on the set of Your Career, thank you for watching, and remember, be career happy.
More information about this program is available online at millermediagroup.org.